This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, I've had him on 3 times before, and here we are a fourth time here on September the 18th, 2022. Folks, I've appeared in 9 of his films, although I've only seen 3 of those 9, because this guy has 100 projects going at once. Folks, I give you James Balsamo. How do you do, James?
Hey everybody, James Balsamo here. Super excited to be back for a fourth time. I mean, I think that's a record, right? I'm the most returned guest because I'm the greatest guest clearly you've ever had, Greg.
Well, you are a great guest. I don't think you're the most.
Well, we'll take let's get this bullet train rocking.
There you go. And folks, we are here on Zoom, and if you happen to be watching on Zoom, James is not hiding. He's just out in the boonies taking a walk and or maybe he's just being ominous. Maybe
Ooh,
he
ooh.
So if we see him do some Blair Witch stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
which I just North Carolina
Yeah.
last week. So
Well, I know
that's got
that you
Joe Borlick in it, and crazy. I produced it and star in it, and it's
Mhm.
directed by Bobby Canopy Jr. and Cagney was the DP on it. It's a wild movie. And there's my face. Hey, everybody on Zoom. Straight.
And there you go. I thought I would show this on here. It Wants Blood, which I appear in twice in a cameo. But there we go. Yeah. Got a bunch of signatures on that, but I was so stoked when this played at the Chinese theater. I'm like, wow.
That's it. Too legit to quit.
Yeah. I would
And
huh?
I was gonna say the sequel's coming out, and it's got Weird Al and Coolio fighting to the death in it, and that comes out this election day. I believe that's sometime in November.
Sometime November. I oh man, I have financially it's been a little hard for me, but I've got to find a way to get involved with that. So don't count me out, but at the same token, I'm gonna see what I can do.
I believe in you, Greg.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan. Plus I'm in the first It Wants Blood. So
Got to come back for the sequel.
yeah. Do you got Joe Castro back doing the monster effects?
I actually have the same stop animator, Richard Svensson, and we did use the same monster that Joe Castro created, as well as Hunter Jackson, aka Techno Destructo from Guar, made some fun monsters for that.
Okay. You gonna have Lita back, Amy Dumas?
Lita makes a returning cameo, and then it's also got some other great pro wrestlers in it. Charles Wright, aka Papa Shango, aka The Godfather, and D'Lo Brown are also in that, as well as Ken Soges from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. And, there's some other fun cameos in that too. So you'll have to wait till Election Day to see that one.
Yeah, I had Ken on the show earlier this year. What a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've done cameos in 9-year movies. I've seen Cool as Hell 2. Obviously, I've seen It Wants Blood. I've seen Catch of the Day 2.
Yep.
Um, I'm just keeping you caught up because I know I sent you all my videos.
Yep.
I'm supposed to be in Hollywood Werewolf.
That's coming out soon.
You got my footage in that one?
They sure do.
Okay. And I'm gonna be in Killer Waves 2.
That one's also coming out soon. That's
So
a
you,
good one.
so you
That's
got
got
me.
Yeah, that's got Ginger Lynn Allen in it, and Marky Ramone from the Ramones is in that one.
Yep. So you got my footage in that.
Yep.
Um, and you just announced on there a Nightmare Party Twerk of Terror, which I'm like, that one's been a while being announced, but I know I sent you footage for that one a while ago, so I went with that one based on the title.
Yeah, that one's wild. It's got Tabitha Stevens is very naked in that, and it's gonna be wild.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in that one. Let me see. Bite School 2. I put footage for that one.
Yep.
And let me see, that's 7. Oh gee. Here I'm trying to figure out all these things I've been part of and oh, Balsamo Beach. Yes,
Yep.
I put
One.
yep. Yep, there's Balsamo Beach and there's I know there's one more because Bite School 2 was the last one that I know I put
Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh, there is another one and I just can't think of it off the top of my head. And I am looking oh, I Spill Your Guts too. That one I did. Yep.
Yep. That one's gonna be brutal.
Okay, there's my 9. So
There
you
you go.
you still got all my footage, I hope.
Sure do, and you're in all of those, and
Okay.
coming out soon. I mean, I've been working like a dog, so they're coming. I've been barking.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see what I can do about It Wants Blood too. So, because I definitely am. So judging from the idea for the scene, I'm like, gee, I got a cat here, so I think I could probably make that work.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. But nonetheless, I noticed you were in Holy Shit, Man, and
Yeah,
I got that Blu-ray here as well.
yeah. I love Bob East. He does a lot of the titles for my posters, and he did a cartoon for a music video. My band Wizards of Pleasure, and so Bob East is great. So when he asked me to do a cameo, I was more than happy.
Mm-hmm. Did you say Holy Shit, Man?
Sure did.
Now I'm a little nervous about you got Sexy Time 4. Like, are we really ready for a James Balsamo Sexy Time 1, 2, and 3, let alone 4?
Oh, Meg, let me tell you, those are my best-selling films. I wouldn't have made two, let alone four, if they weren't, breaking the busty bank. So I'm just gonna keep
So
them coming.
so what are you doing? Pole dancing in it?
No, they're actually nude scenes from my films, so it's just the breast part of my movies. So whenever I have a beautiful topless woman, that's goes into the compilation that is Sexy Time.
Oh, women. Okay, I thought you were talking about yourself. I thought you were getting over egotistical, and decided
No,
compilate.
as egotistical as I am, Greg, it's a compilation of naked ladies from my films.
Well, I know you're from California, and you just told me tonight, though. I know I'm running a little late, and you're running a little late, but nonetheless, you are visiting your folks. What's it like where you are right now?
It's Long Island. It's quiet. There's a symphony of grasshoppers. So my parents have a nice house. They got a pool and a hot tub in the back. So just gonna kick back, relax after this thing, and enjoy a little bit more R&R.
Are the grasshoppers protesting because they're not in your movie yet?
Yeah, actually, I would like to make like a 1950s grasshopper people movie, like Invasion of the Grasshopper People.
Uh-huh.
I love I love those old like Roger Corman, It Conquered the World kind of black and white cheesy monster movies. So I have been thinking about how cool grasshoppers look, and I think why hasn't anybody made a grasshopper monster movie yet?
Isn't it cool Roger Corman's still going?
I know, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, I haven't gotten to be part of the From Dusk Till Bong movies yet, but I noticed you've done a couple of those.
Yeah, those are really fun, and that's out now. Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes and Noble, From Dust Till Bong. Smoke it before it smokes you.
Where do you come up with your ideas, man?
The ethos, they just come to me, Greg. The universe has has a buffet of ideas, and I just always have my tray out and I'm ready for more.
So, in my if I'm in It Wants Blood too, if I decide to do that, which again that's up in the air at the moment, but is Eric Roberts gonna be watching me on a television again?
Uh, he might be. I mean, Eric Roberts does. We shot, I think, 2 or 3 days with Eric for the sequel, so he's definitely in it.
So Dusang hasn't turned over a new leaf at all, huh?
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but uh, kaiju battles. If you're not familiar with what a kaiju is, it's like a Japanese word for monster. So it's like Godzilla fighting creatures have become like the new UFC, and so people are exploiting these giant creatures. And then Coolio's in it, and he turns into a kaiju. And then Weird Al turns into a giant weird owl, and they fight to the death. I won't say who wins. You're gonna have to see the movie to find out. But Eric Roberts is an activist for these kaiju's. He thinks they're beautiful creatures and they shouldn't fight, and he doesn't support the fighting. So it's got its underlying morality like all of my films, but wackiness, whipped cream spilled all over the top.
There you go. Any Genevieve Rossi? Well, I know I have to bring her up.
No, I don't think she's in this one, but I know she just had a new movie come out with Dave Stein, Attack of the
Killer
Chickens.
Chickens, yep.
So, and that's great. Dave sent me a copy because Dave and I did a movie called The Lich together, and that just came out on Blu-ray. So that's available in Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes and Noble, and I believe Genevieve Rossi is in The Lich. So if you want to get your fill of both of them, check out The Lich or their movie Attack of the Killer Chickens.
Yeah, I gotta get Dave Stein on here. I've never had him on here yet.
Oh yeah, get Dave on there.
I've had Genevieve Rossi on here the same amount of times I've had you on
Oh boy.
for. Yeah. Yeah. She said she tells me she looks better nude than you.
Yeah, that's true. I I have filmed her nude. I can attest to that.
Gina Viva is awesome. She's awesome. Yeah. Um, so out of all these projects you've been doing, you've got 100 million projects on here. What's been the most difficult to film? Because you've come a long way since your start, and you seem to be constantly busy.
Greg, I don't think any of them are difficult because I love filmmaking. It's all a passion. So, um, that anything that you love shouldn't be super easy. So all films of mine are labors of love, and they all have their trials and tribulations. But honestly, they're fun at their core. Either I'm doing Karate Ghost or Aliens from Outer Space, where Rob Halford from Judas Priest is fighting Guar, like in my new movie Alien Danger 2, starring Bill Victor Arukin and Sefdak Ramon, who helped me produce that, the two of those guys. So, it's either something like that or it's something silly like Weird Al and Coolio fighting to the death, but it's all challenging and fun at the same time. So none really supersedes one or another because every day for me, I'm like talking to a different celebrity, setting up the next film shoot, or you know what I mean? So it's always an adventure for me. Like the catchphrase in Alien Danger is adventure awaits. And that's kind of my life. Adventure awaits.
I don't know. I'm looking on here, and you got one called Tossic Tennis.
That's gonna be wild. I filmed that with Tom Devlin from Las Vegas. He's got Tom Devlin's Monster Museum. If you haven't reached out to Tom and done an interview with him yet, he does a lot of the makeup for the Puppet Master movies, and he did the makeup for From Dust Till Bong. And him and I are working on this movie Toxic Tennis with Bill Victor Arukin, and it's like the Toxic Avenger meets Madballs, and it was just so much fun to film. I mean, we were just like little kids playing pretend with like this creature that pays homage to the Toxic Avenger and spoofs the Toxic Avenger and then Madballs and spoofs Madballs, and it's got like a talking tennis ball named Dennis Ball, and it's just wacky and it flies through the back of people's heads, and it's just gory and silly. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff that I like. So that's what I try to make: silly, fun monster movies
You
with
know
boob.
what? It's funny you mentioned Mad Balls. I collected those growing up, and I had them in storage here, and I had them in a bag, and the bag was all tied up. And I discovered them recently, and they were turned like to dust.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was kind of heartbroken, because
sure.
it was like, wow, because of the rubber stuff they were made out of, and
Uh,
I'd like to hope now they could make them a lot better than that, but
Sure. Well, I just released my own. They're called Mad Balsamos, and I've got a whole bunch of them. You can go to jamesbalsamo.com. There's one on my head and the Dennis ball, and the rest are coming out in the next few months. So
oh
be on the
wow.
look. And I've also got these. Remember the old plush wrestling toys? Well, now I've got Balsamos, and those are fun little wrestling plush dolls.
What about a
Uh,
Genevieve Rossi flush doll?
well, that's more of a fleshlight than a plush doll.
What about a Genevieve Rossi mad ball? The
Yeah,
loveliest mad ball.
I- yeah, a
She's
mad boob.
she'll love that I'm bringing her up in this.
But
I gotta keep her incorporated.
yeah,
And of course, I still talk to Craig Muckler on a regular basis, and he's always keeping me updated. Often when I'm at work when I can't talk to him, but
sure.
I know he's been involved in your Mind Melters films.
He has, yeah. He's actually in Mind Melders 1, 2, and 3, which just came out in the stores on the 17th. What's today? The 18th came out yesterday. So in stores everywhere, Mind Melters 3 with Craig Muckler and Bob Cummings and myself. And it's wacky. So be sure to check that one out.
Now, Shagged only has you listed as director, writer, and star. Is this a one-person show?
No, this is a project. This is a passion project of mine about a shag rug that eats people at a '70s orgy, and it's still in pre-production. I'd like to shoot it on 16 millimeter. This is a project that I want to shoot on film, and so I haven't casted anybody else yet. But I commissioned the poster, and it's got a really fun poster by Jeff Zorno, and it's just a wacky sex comedy with a killer shag carpet, and it's called
Oh,
Shag. Don't get swept under the rug is the tagline.
again, I love how your mind. I don't know where you come up with this stuff. How do you sleep?
So I don't sleep, Greg. I have terrible insomnia, and I was listening to King Crimson. That's how I'll tell you. And I was in like a real '70s kind of mood, and I was like, man, I love '70s aesthetic. I'd love to do like a '70s monster movie. And I thought, what better '70s monster than a shag rug? So that's how that came to be.
And we have Raven Van Slender Saves Christmas.
Yeah, so actually, I just filmed with Lynn Lowry in Denver 2 weeks ago, where she plays Mrs. Claus, and Andy Dick's in that, and Kurt Angle, who's in that, who just came back to the WWE. So it's very cool that we got him while he was on hiatus, but he's back now just in time for the release of this movie. So it's really cool.
Oh, you got Lynn Lowry in this. I
Uh-huh.
yeah, I've had her on the show. I was the first to get her on a podcast, and I've got several Blu-rays signed by her, you know. Okay. Wow. I love Lynn Lowry. Yeah, it's been a while since she was in one of your films.
Yeah, it's been over 10 years. I mean, she's in I Spill Your Guts and Hack Job, and I haven't been able to work with her since, but I'm happy to have her back. It's great to have her back in the Acid Bath family.
Awesome, awesome. So, looking at all of these, let's talk about It Wants Blood 2 a little bit here because I am very fond of that first movie that I'm part of. I had to go through this because I had to add myself into the Twerk of Terror IMDb.
Uh-huh.
Yep, because that was not updated. But talk about meeting Weird Al Yankovic.
It was amazing. He came to my house. It was really cool. You know, I got him some vegan food. He's a vegan. And then I
Hmm.
was telling Weird Al bad jokes, which he seemed tortured by, which I love. He was like, "Oh, you got a lot of those, huh?"
Had he seen any of your other films?
No, he came through Eric Roberts and his wife. We were filming for It Wants Blood 2, and I was wearing a UHF Weird Al shirt where Weird Al is doing the Stallone spoof. So it's like Weird Al, but he's jacked. And
Yeah.
Eric Roberts thought that it was Stallone on my T-shirt because he had only saw it while I was walking by, and he was like, "Oh, I know Sly." And his wife was like, "No, it's Weird Al, Eric." And then she's like, "We know him also." So I was like, "Oh, cool. Do you think we could maybe get him in this movie?" And she was like, "Well, we could try." And long story short, you know, maybe like a month later, Weird Al was in my house.
I love Weird Al Yankovic. Been a fan of his since the early 80s.
Yeah. Weird Al's amazing. I mean, growing up, I loved Guar and Weird Al, and I've been lucky enough to work with both of them. So, for me, it was a real treat. And like I said, Weird Al, I don't want to give too much away in the movie, but he turns into a weird owl and fights Coolio. So it's definitely a ridiculous performance. And also, Weird Al and myself did a scene together, and Weird Al is screaming in my face. If you go to my Facebook, my last banner is like Weird Al and I almost touching nose to nose. So it was really fun to work with Weird Al, let alone have him scream in my face. So, a weird experience, very surreal in the moment. I'm like, Weird Al's in my living room, screaming in my face repeatedly, take after take. Like, what's happening? What is this life?
Look at this. Skittles is here. He's in one or two of my cameos. I know that.
Hashtag save Skittles.
Yeah, Skittles. Skittles is like, why are you exploiting me? You're doing this for it. Do you have a kitty?
I have three dogs, actually.
Do they make appearances in your films?
They do. They do. Alf has been in The Lich and a few other movies.
Hmm.
So, I do. I exploit my own pets. They're little actor superstars.
So what was it like having Weird Al come to your house?
Yeah, it was crazy, Greg. I mean, like, I'm a huge Weird Al fan, and it was like one of those things. Like, is it really happening today? And so I have an antiques guy that calls me, and so the morning that Weird Al was going to come over, he sent me a picture of like a dragon, like a 5 foot tall gold dragon, and I
Hmm.
was like, Weird Al like that? I better buy this dragon. So I bought this like ridiculous dragon that's still in my living room because I thought maybe Weird Al will think this is weird.
Okay. Did
No,
he?
That was the same day he did. He was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, do you have a favorite Weird Al song?
Dare to Be Stupid is my
Oh, I
favorite.
love it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. That's one of his non-parody songs, and it's one of his best non-parody songs. I love that one too.
yeah, it's a good one. I mean, all of his stuff is great, but
Yep,
that's my favorite.
yeah. So, what was it like getting him and Coolio to work together? Because the past, and I know they patched things up, but there was some rough beginnings there.
Yeah, so they actually weren't on screen together. They
Oh,
fight as stop animated monsters. They
mm-hmm.
both form. But the Coolio story is even crazier than the Weird Al story. So I was playing slots in Las Vegas, and I was winning. I was probably up like $500 or something like that. So I was pretty glued to the slot machine, and my DP was next to me, and he was started tapping me on the shoulder like Don not seeing a ghost, and he was
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, what? I'm winning. Stop touching me. And so Coolio walks by and I clock him after my, DP is like shaking me on the shoulder. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Coolio. So I get up, I push an old woman over and I'm like, oh my God, Coolio, do you want to be in a movie? And he's like, yeah. So uh, he's like, first follow me. So we're in this casino and then he walks me up to a bowling league and he's like league bowling and he's like I just have to bowl a few rounds but then I'm ready. So I'm like watching Coolio bowl and I'm just like what's happening, and then he's like all right let's go. So we go up to the room and then he starts directing and he's like all right what's this thing called, It Wants Blood 2. He's like telling me, he's like you sit down. I'm like yes Mr. Coolio. And he's like, "It wants blood, take two. It wants blood, part two, take one." And then he goes, "And action." So like Coolio is like partly directing his scene, like 100%. And then he starts making up all this crazy mythos about the kaiju's and how like a drop of kaiju blood will make you live for 1,000 years. So now Coolio is like an immortal that turns into a kaiju because he drinks kaiju blood. And I'm like, what's happening? He's writing this movie. It's becoming even crazier. And I love it. And Coolio is just amazingly, wonderfully Coolio. That's all I can say.
So, was he as good a bowler as Roy Munson or Jeff Lebowski?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Lebowski, but he's pretty good. I mean, he didn't roll a turkey or you know what I mean, or a hat. He didn't do a hat trick, but he was good. He's a good bowler, and he like he had a Newport cigarette in one hand and then an inhaler in the other hand, and he like walked faster. I'm not a fast walker, you know what I mean. Even though I'm a
Hmm.
New Yorker, I walk slow because I've been in California for a few years. But
Hmm.
man, he was like doing laps around me, like I was like trailing like a mile behind. He's like, catch up. Like okay. So yeah, that's the Coolio story.
Yeah. So, I always am amazed at your celebrity meetings. Now, I'm going to be doing two horror film cons coming up in October, and so I'm looking forward to those. But you seem to make some interesting connections at these. Talk about your latest ones that you've made at cons.
So I just got Eugene Clark also to be in my new zombie mafia movie I'm making with Bill Victor Arukin, and that's
Hmm.
also got Edward Furlong in it and Noah Hathaway from A Never-Ending Story. He plays Atreyu, and also D'Lo Brown and Charles Wright, aka The Godfather, aka Papa Shango, is also in that. And we shot a flamethrower in that one and crushed a car with a scoop crane. So that one's crazy, but I've been doing this a long time, Greg. I've been doing this for about 17 years, and I made a whole bunch of movies, and I've worked with a ton of celebrities. And so, what's kind of cool is that believe it or not, I'm a credible person. So I just pull out my phone and I'm like, "Hey, Weird Al's in my last movie. Do you want to be in my new movie?" And then they're like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And I'm like, "Well, Rob Halford's from Judas Priest is in my last movie." And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." And then I'm like, "Well, also, I just killed Robbie Krieger from The Doors." guitar player from the Doors who also wrote a whole bunch of Doors hits, and We Kill 'Em with a Door. And my new movie I'm making with John Hitt called Slice. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, you worked at the Doors." I'm like, "It wasn't Weird Al or Rob Halford that got you. It was the Doors." Okay, cool. Well, they're in. So
Yeah, another sports one, Slice. Golf.
yeah, that one's fun. Guar actually plays the cops in that one. Casey Orr, aka Beefcake the Mighty, Hunter Jackson, aka Techno Destructo, and Danielle Stamp, aka Slymanster Hyman, are the sheriff's department in that. And it's also got the Deftones guitar player Steph Carpenter is in that, and Pat J from Masters in that, and John Hitt is the hero in that, and I'm in that, and it's wild. And there's a whole bunch of other crazy people. Rob Yulfo did the opening cartoon, and he does the cartoon for Stephen Colbert for his show. So it's been wild. But yeah,
So
wherever like I just try to scoop up a celebrity, and living in Los Angeles, I bump into so many. I can't believe how many celebrities I bump into, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm a filmmaker." You know what I mean? You want to be in a movie? Like that's how I got John Landis. I mean, John Landis is like such an incredible director. I couldn't believe I convinced him to do a cameo in Alien Danger 2, out now in Walmart. So, check that out. It's rad.
it's been a while since I've seen Landis do a movie too, and Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London, National Lampoon's Animal House, Trading Places. I mean, he's got quite the resume.
Coming to America.
Coming to America, yes, absolutely, yes. So, yeah, well, who's the most famous person that you've encountered?
I don't know, man. It depends. Like music, you know what I mean? John Landis is definitely up there at the top of the list. I would say the Doors are probably one of the greatest American rock and roll bands in history. So Robbie Krieger is definitely up there. And then uh, Judas Priest, like with Ozzy Osbourne, invented heavy metal and like the style of heavy metal. So Rob Halford, and then like Weird Al is like one of the greatest music comedy performers ever. So like I think there's a lot, you know what I mean? That title is hard to fight for. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. You know, well, I'm going to try to figure something out. I might have to do installments or something for you if I end up committing to It Wants Blood 2, but I'm not going to totally commit right now because I don't want to say one thing and not come through. So, but I'll keep you posted on it. But I definitely love the description you sent me for a scene. So I'm like, yeah, I could probably do something with that. Yeah. But how many of your movies right now are on Blu-ray? Because I've got this one on Blu-ray.
yeah, I would say a lot of it. I think in the last few months I've released almost all of my movies. I think the only thing I haven't released is I Spill Your Guts because that's the 10-year anniversary, and I've got a special Blu-ray in the works for that. But I think everything else is probably up to date.
Okay. Okay. And you got all my scenes, so I look forward to. I've seen Cool as Hell 2. Obviously seen this, and I've seen Catch of the Day 2. I don't have those other two, but I was quite honored to share a movie with Jake the Snake Roberts for Catch of the Day 2. So I got to say that was pretty slamming good.
Yeah, and it's cool. I just did a show with Jake a few weeks ago, and I got Scott Steiner and Matt Hardy to do a cameo in this new movie I'm doing with John Morrison and Bill Victor Rukin called The Righteous Adventures of Commander Starshark and Guppy. And Sean Whalen from People Under the Stairs plays Dr. Dorsal Fin, a mad scientist with a shark fin on his back, and he wears a lab coat. It's wild. But yeah, that also has the Kyoto brothers in it, the guys that made Killer Clowns from
Killer
Outer Space.
Clowns.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been wild, Greg. It's been wild. I mean, getting some cool cameos, and making some fun movies, and it's always a pleasure to work with you and talk with you, buddy. I got to run. My phone is like on.
You know what? I do too, because I'm doing an all-nighter. I work at the hospital here as a COVID cleaner, which I can tell you right now is one of the reasons I get so behind a lot of times, you know. So,
Yeah,
but I was very happy to have you come on here, and between
always.
both of us, we're both running late because I was on here earlier and you were indisposed, and then
Yeah,
you come on here, and then I was indisposed. But I'm
that's right.
glad we're connecting. I'm
Yep.
glad to have you on here fourth time. I'm going to stay
Always.
connected. I'll go stay connected with you. But before I let you go, please do a plug for my show again, because wonderful having you on a fourth time. Go for it.
What do you want me to say?
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. I thought you needed no direction, man.
I just want to make sure I'm getting it right. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, James Balsamo here. Thanks for listening to Greg on Python's Paradise. Keep listening. Rock and roll.
And folks, really, the reason I'm doing this interview because James is in the dark right now, and he is seriously maintaining his composure because the Blair Witch is coming. He doesn't have a flashlight on him because he does not want the Blair Witch to find
No,
him.
no, it's coming. Ah,
Take care, James. God bless you.